Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Eldred Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A better life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. I am back. If you've watched the podcast over the last 2 weeks, you may realize that those actually weren't live. Those were repeats of previous shows because I have been out of the country for 2 weeks. And I just got back 2 days ago. I still got a little bit of jet lag. I woke up like at 2 o'clock this morning. That's where we were. That would have been like 10 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm a little bit off. I got a little bit of sleep before I started the podcast, so I should be okay. So Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. I actually spent Christmas in Africa, and to be honest with you, we started Ageless Blueprint really a little bit over a year ago. And primarily I started Ageless Blueprint because I went through a transformation course called Reality Creator. And it talked about how you can create your own reality. And I was at a crossroads, almost 65 years old. I am 65 now. And I had to decide what kind of reality I want to create for the rest of my life. And it was an amazing course. I'm actually going to have him on as a podcast guest because it really, really changed my life. And so last year, if you don't remember, I went to Egypt, and that was really a part of this transformation, me getting over my fear. One of the fears was getting over, one of the things in order to have a new reality, you have to get over your fears. So one of my biggest fears was the water. So I took a scuba diving lesson. And it really kind of opened the door for me. And from that, my wife and I decided to go to Egypt last year. It was an amazing experience. And that really spearheaded this Ageless Blueprint. I went back and saw what was going on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 years ago and saw how there was a blueprint for life there. So anyway, from that, I have really become fearless. And so my wife and I, we've both gone through this transformation. It has transformed every part of our lives. It's transformed our marriage, our relationship with our kids, how we look at work, how we look at what we do. We see it in a different light. And we are creating a reality that we want as we age, and not a reality that people think someone 65 or older should do. So to make a long story short, this is why we went to Rwanda and we went to Uganda. Actually, I had a patient who we were talking about, going to Africa and all this, and he said, "Well, hey, you ought to go and track the gorillas." And this was about a year ago, and we said, "Oh wow, wouldn't that be amazing?" To track the gorillas, and we could go do a safari because we did one about 14 years ago with our kids. But we decided we're going to do it just me and my wife and have an experience together. So anyway, what I want to do is kind of, they call it a travel blog, but I want to show our trip and how it transformed us once again. And it pushed us to our limits. And when you get pushed to your limit and you start to see that you can do things that you never thought you could do or you would do, it really reinforces this ageless living. It really enforces your fearlessness. and primarily the fear of the unknown. So I want to stop talking. I want to, let's look at some of the slides. Then I actually have a couple of videos, and it's not just a travel blog, but it's really trying to encourage everyone to do some of the things that you've always wanted to do. Don't wait. As you get older, you start to realize that you do not have unlimited time. And especially if you have a partner, a significant other, or family members that you want to share life experiences with, you need to do it as soon as possible. Now, you don't have to go to Africa. You don't have to do all that. Just plan a trip to the Rocky Mountains or go have a picnic or whatever. Just do something. Some of the things that you have planned to do later, sometimes later doesn't come. And that's what I'm figuring out. And I know I'm the spiritual MD and the hormone doctor, and we're going to get back to that. But a lot of times at the end of the year and the beginning of the year, you want to kind of recalibrate and figure out where you are and where you're going. And so this is what we usually do at the end of the year. So let's go and do the slides, okay? See how much time we got. Okay. All right. So let me make this a little bit bigger so I see. So why we'll do it later is the most dangerous lie we tell ourselves. A reflection on aging, marriage, fear, and aliveness. And this is a certificate. So before you start, they get your names and everything because they want you to have a certificate to say that you track the gorillas. And at first I thought, big deal, a certificate. But hey, I cherish this certificate because you'll see what we had to go through to see these silverback gorillas. They're mountain gorillas. And when they say mountain gorillas, they're really mountain gorillas. They live in the mountains. So if you want to see the gorillas, you have to go up the mountain. And, I live in Atlanta and we have something called Stone Mountain. And we've hiked up Stone Mountain. It's difficult, but this is a whole different story. And we'll go through it. I don't want to give it away too fast, but too quickly, but you'll see. All right, so let's go. All right, so this wasn't necessarily a vacation. See, I call a vacation when you sit on the beach and you drink pina coladas or whatever, and everybody is serving you and all that stuff. So this was not a vacation. This was a shared experience that really changed us. And so in Rwanda, they have 5 volcanoes. That's a volcano behind us there. And so this was our first day there. So we were all happy and set out for adventure. And that's what we call it. We try to go on adventures together because Egypt was an adventure. We went to Ghana. It was an adventure. It's not a relaxing vacation. It's an adventure. But all of those experiences have changed me profoundly. The beach is nice, but if you want to have a life-changing experience, you need to do something that you've never done before, or you just was in a fantasy or whatever. And, again, you don't have to do something as wild as this. Hey, we've worked, 30 years in medicine and doing other things. And I'm used to delayed gratification. When you go to medical school, you have to deal with a lot of delayed gratification. And so in this part of my life, I'm not delaying gratification anymore. Is that if we want to do something, we'll do it. And so this is one of those. And believe me, it's brought us closer together. All right. So this is where we went. This is welcome to Rwanda, the Republic of Rwanda. I'll tell you, if you ever seen the movie Hotel Rwanda, there was a genocide there in 1994. And they have really recovered. It's really a beautiful, the capital city is Kigali. It's really a beautiful place. I think I have a picture of the hotel that we stayed in when we were there. But it's a clean city. At the end of the month, everyone has to go out and clean their area. So the city is spotless, is very modern. It's not what you might think Africa is. Stay in a beautiful hotel. But then the other part is that you go on the safari. So these are the 2 safari parks we went to, and they're huge parks. And I'll show you some of the things that you see there. And to be honest with you, I didn't really realize my geography, but we were only about 10 or 15 minutes away from the equator. And so we're standing on the equator right here. So another shared experience that most people don't get to do. So we've been to the equator. We've been to these two countries that a lot of people don't go to, and we really encourage people. We love to travel. We've been married 40 years. We've traveled almost all of those years. When we didn't have any money in residency, we took the cheap cruises, the Carnival cruise. We did all of those. We did it during hurricane season. So that's when the prices were down and we just had to take the chance. So we've always loved to travel, even with our kids. And because it opens your horizons, it makes you see things, the world, and how big and beautiful it is, and how different cultures are. But those cultures have adapted to their environment, and that's just how they live. So these are the places that we went, and you can go go look at Google Maps and see exactly where they are in Africa. But they are actually in the eastern part of Africa. All right. So let's go to the next one. Now, this is why we went to get these pictures. Now, I probably have about 30 or 40 of these pictures, but these are what they call silverback gorillas. They live in the mountains. And you see all of this jungle around them. Well, that's where we were. Okay, so we were about 10 feet from these gorillas. They are used to people being around them. You can't go in large groups. It's only like 4 or 5 at a time. And here's what I want you to see. Uganda gorilla tracking. We tracked 4 hours. We climbed 4 hours. We were up 10,000 feet. Okay, so 10,000 feet. That is really high. It took us 4 hours to climb that mountain. So here's the fine print. My daughter said we should have read the fine print. They say it may take up from 1 to 4 hours to get to the gorillas. And we were like, oh, okay, we can hike for an hour. Or we've gone up Stone Mountain. We didn't realize how high that mountain was. And you also realize that this is the jungle. There's no trails. These gorillas go wherever they want to. They don't follow trails or anything. So they're actually trackers. There's people with guns who go and find the gorillas, and they're not to shoot the gorillas. It's to protect them while they're trying to find them in case the elephant or moose, and they still don't kill them. They just tranquilize them. And that never happened. I mean, it didn't happen while we were there. But anyway, that's how it goes. So we climbed up 10,000 feet. We're in our mid 60s, you guys. It pushed us to the limit. Let me just show you. This is us when we started up, and this is when we got up to the top of the mountain. And you see my wife here. She is not doing good. And so we sat there, we had lunch, and then all we could think about is, well, now we've got to go down. And going down is almost as hard as going up. And so at any age, when most people are told to slow down, we're doing crazy stuff like this. And so I want to tell you is that at several points going up that mountain, we wanted to turn around. But you get to a point and no guide is going to go down there with you. And you pay money and they are determined for you to get to see those gorillas. And so they helped us up, and even with all of the help, it was still very, very difficult. So we started at 7 in the morning, took us 4 or 5 hours to get up there. We stayed up there 2 or 3 hours, took us 4 or 5 hours. So anyway, from 7 in the morning to 7 at night, we were hiking this mountain and either going up or down. It is the most strenuous physical thing we've ever done. And we did it in our mid 60s, not in our mid 30s. We were actually with another couple who were in their 40s, and it was even difficult for them. So, Rebel, this is what I'll tell you. If you want to go see the gorillas, do it while you're young, okay? While you're younger, as young as possible, because it was difficult, okay? And my wife was like the whole time, she was like, what have we gotten ourselves into? So Rebel, this is what I'll tell you. Let me go to this next slide and we'll talk. Would I do it again? No. Would I trade it? Never. I'm going to tell you, once we got down, and this was the next day, we got some rest. We were so proud of ourselves. I mean, this is after, hiking up and down this mountain and us looking like this, we were so proud of ourselves that we had done something that we never thought we would have done earlier in our lives, and we were able to accomplish it even at our age. Even our kids are like, I don't believe you did it. I would never have done it. And so we were so proud of ourselves. And let me tell you, we will talk about this till the day we die. When one of us passes away, we'll remember, hey, you remember we went up, we'll show these pictures and we'll smile like this again. And that's what we're talking about. Life is about experiences, it's about shared experiences. And these are the things that mean the most to people, I think, is having an experience and having someone to share it with. And we go back and we tell the story. It's funny here. It's funny when we told our kids. It's just a great experience. So Rebel, that's what I'll tell you. If you want to see the gorillas, I'll send you some more pictures. But it's a tough thing, but it's very rewarding. So
We
what
have
do
a
you?
few questions
Okay,
here.
all right, no,
In
yeah,
in
great.
the pictures, you were wearing a mask. Is that
Oh yeah.
what is the
Mhm.
reason?
Because they don't want you to give the gorillas a disease. It's not to protect you, it's to protect the gorillas. So whenever we were on a hike, we went on another one that wasn't nearly as demanding to see the chimpanzees. When you get to their area, you're supposed to put a mask on because you can give them diseases that they're not used to, because these people come from all over the world, to see these gorillas. And so they're bringing all kinds of different airborne diseases. So yeah, you have to wear a mask. So luckily, on the way up there, you don't have to wear a mask, because if that was the case, we would have died of suffocation because the air is thin. We're huffing and puffing. So, but once you sit there and you're close to the gorillas, yeah, you have to wear a mask. Yeah, you have another question?
How strenuous at that height is it on the body?
It's very strenuous. It's very strenuous. So I'm telling you, it took us a couple of days to recover. For that picture when we're smiling, that was 2 days later. That next day, we didn't do anything. We didn't go on any sightseeing. We didn't do anything. We just sat in the hotel. We slept. We ate. We slept again. So it is strenuous. But I'm going to tell you again, it was at the end, and the next day we looked at each other and said we did it, and I get to talk about it here. So, you know, I've been, I started going to the gym, and my trainer, he pushes you. He wants to see what your limit is. And I think this is my limit, but at least I found out what my limit was. And I'll tell you, my wife is extremely proud of herself that she was able to do it, because it was so many times that she wanted to turn around. So, anyway, any more questions? But yeah, hey, this is even going to Egypt. In going to Egypt, you have to, um, a lot of the tombs and things, you have to bend down, because one of their thoughts was that if you're going to this holy temple, you need to enter bowed down. So they would have these very low ceilings, and you'd have to walk bowing down. And we said last year, hey, look, you can't wait too late to do these trips, because they're very strenuous. So the Egypt trip, this trip, I mean, if we had delayed this trip for 2 or 3 years, I guarantee you we couldn't have made it up that mountain. So that's why I'm saying you can't put things off, especially as you get older. You can do that when you're 20 or 30, but still, even at 20 and 30, we know that life is not promised. So even with your kids, share as much as you can with your kids, because nothing is permanent, nothing is promised, you guys. And so life is about experiences, and that's what I learned when I took that reality course last year, is that you want to fill your life with experiences. So, all right. So, yes, someone asked, how much stress is it on the body? What is required? Endurance. Now, I will be honest with you. The couple that were 40 years old, we let them go ahead, because our endurance wasn't like theirs. These guys were real hikers. They would go around to different places and hike. So they had done this before. We had never done it before. We didn't know how to work the equipment. We didn't know anything. So they had to go ahead of us. But we persevered. One of the success thoughts you're supposed to have is that I will persist until I succeed. And that's what we did. We persisted until we succeeded. Were we the fastest? No. but we succeeded. I felt like we were the marathon runner that everybody else is going, and it's late at night, and then the marathon runner comes in because he wanted to finish. Well, that's what we did. We endured until we finished. And it took a commitment because continuing when stopping felt reasonable. It really felt reasonable about halfway up that this is crazy. We made a mistake. Let's turn around. But we couldn't. We had committed our finances. We had committed our time. We had committed flying halfway across the world to go do this. And we wanted to finish. So we were committed. And it really caused us to face real fear. I'm going to show you how high we up. I took how high we were up. I took some pictures of that. That fear of heights, which my wife really has. We got over a lot of fears. We got over the fear of height. We got over the fear of the unknown. I think I have that in a slide. And getting over the fear of the unknown is one of the greatest things that you can do, because that's how you get out of your rut and your routine, is by not being afraid to do something you've never done before, or do something that you don't know how it's going to turn out. Okay, so that's how we felt about that. We got over the fear of the unknown because we did not know what we were getting ourselves into, but we did it and we accomplished it. And I can't tell you, I keep saying, I can't tell you how proud we are. So this is how high up we were. Okay, so this is where we started, down here. And this is not a drone or anything. This is one level, and we were above that. Okay, so fear of heights, fear of discomfort. And I mean, we were walking on the edge right here up the trail, up the mountain that we were on from the vantage point of this picture. But this is what 10,000 feet up in the air looks like. And believe me, we got over that fear. All were confronted, none were avoided. And we wanted to avoid it, you guys. But again, getting over the fear of the unknown. So now I really, after I did the scuba diving, I felt fearless. Now I really felt fearless. Even starting a podcast, I had to get over the fear. It took me like 4 or 5 or 6 months to prepare. And then I just said, I got to start doing it. And so now I just do it. So all of these things, as you become more mature, as you begin to age, don't put it off. Don't do it. Okay. I don't know what this ACES blueprint, what this podcast does or what it doesn't do. All I know is it's something that I need to do. I enjoy doing it. And I started doing it. I was afraid. I didn't know what was going to happen. I still don't know what's going to happen, but I just keep persisting until I succeed. So that has become one of my new mottos. All right. So So we also did a cultural experience. Okay, so that's another thing. It's just to understand the culture. And they showed us how they make grains and how they make banana beer and banana gin and how they take what they get from the ground. And they can make all kinds of different things from it. And this is just talking about the heritage that in Rwanda there was kings and queens. And this is the garb of the kings and queens of ancient Rwanda before colonization. They had kings and queens. So we had a ceremony. They were treating us like kings and queens. It was, they had a guitar player. He was playing for us. And then they actually had a wedding ceremony. If I get enough time, I'll show it to you. And it was showing how they go through a wedding where the bride is carried to the hut of the groom, and she's left there, and they're given gifts and things. So you go to these different countries so you can see how they live, and you can see that people live differently from us, but they can still be happy and satisfied. They don't have to look at, now this is what I will tell you. Now, like I said, they don't live like this. This is just cultural history. But even though Rwanda and Uganda may not be the most prosperous countries, what you'll find over there is everybody is on the phone, has a cell phone, and everybody is connected to the internet. And we went to some rural places, and even in the safari in the jungle, climbing up the mountain, they communicate by cell phone in order to know where to tell the guides where the gorillas are. So the world is coming to Africa through the internet and whatever, and so they are aspiring to remove this primitive label and to show that they are an up and coming continent. So anyway, so that was a little fun thing we had. And see, aging isn't about decline; it's about contraction. You don't want to contract; you want to expand. So we're expanding, looking at different cultures, different things. The body doesn't age from challenge; it ages from avoidance. Yeah, if you don't stay mobile and out there and keep moving, age will catch up with you. And again, I'm not afraid of death. I'm not any of that. But you want to live life while you have it. And this is what life is about. So don't contract as you get older. You want to expand. This is the time where you have less responsibilities. You've already sent your kids to college. You've done your career. You've saved this money. You need to use it. My financial advisor, it was talking about, if you want to do some things, do it now. You don't want to save up your money and wait till you're 80 or 90, and then you're unable to do some of the things that you had planned to do. So yeah, Rebel said this is a kick in the butt type podcast. Is do what you had planned to do later. If you can do even a portion of it now, start doing it now. Just don't wait. All right. I'm gonna take so after nearly 40 years together, we chose that shared challenge. Oh, you know what? I want to go back and show you some the video of being in that park. So I'm going to get to this. So hey, Rebel, this is the time to take a break. If we have some questions, we can get that when we come back. But I had a video to show you, a cute little video of one of the things we saw in the safari. So let's go to a break. We'll come back to that and we'll finish up. And maybe Rebel and I will have a little discussion, and we can talk about the questions and go from there. All right, so let's go to break.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the ageless blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
All right, well, we're back, and what we've been talking about is my recent trip over the holidays to Rwanda and Uganda. And really, it is not really about the trip. It's really to encourage people to don't put off life experiences. If you have a desire and it's anywhere in your realm of possibility, give it a shot. At least try and see how you can arrange it sooner rather than later. And that's what this is really about. But hey, Rebel, I wanted to, if you see in there's a video, can you pull that up? I just want to show you, these are some of the things that you see on safari. And this is a cute little indication of nature. So this is our Jeep that we were in. And this is a family of elephants. So, it's an elephant crossing. So you just sit there and you wait for the elephants to cross. So you can see that that's a whole family. Our guide told us that those elephants, that's a whole family. That's a mother, father, and those are the children. And what they do is during the day, they come in and they feed off of the grass. And then in the evening, or during the middle of the day, they go toward the water. There's a lake that they're going to. Yeah. So they're going toward the water, and then this one, I don't know. This may be the teenage son that is embarrassed about his parents or something, and so he's staying behind. But he's going to catch up, and yeah, like there they are. All right, so this is that ACEs blueprint I'm talking about is how nature and you know it provides for whatever those animals need. So they are herbivores. So almost every type of plant is in that jungle for those elephants. And there's water nearby and all that. And you just see the harmony. And then there's some animals that they feed off of the dung from the elephants. And you just see how nature and it's all these where everything works together in harmony when it's left alone. So those are national parks that no one can destroy the trees or the jungles or whatever. And when you just see nature in its pure form, it's very awe-inspiring. I think that's one of the reasons why we like to go to Africa, is because a lot of things are just untouched, not being manipulated by man like a lot of things you see in more developed countries. So that's kind of our draw for there. So, but you know, those kind of experiences after nearly 40 years together, we chose to have a shared challenge. So not comfort, not routine, but experience, because comfort is us going to a beach somewhere. Routine is not hiking up not hiking up 10,000 foot mountains, is not part of our routine, but that experience is what stands out. So do we have any questions? I have some more slides, but do I have any more questions, Rebel?
Yes. They
Okay.
wanted to know, do you walk straight up the mountain? I'm gonna assume no, but do you
Yeah.
walk straight up the mountain in in an upward trek, or is it a curvy journey?
Yeah, it's all of the above. It's all of the above. Like I said, there's no track, and you don't know exactly where the gorillas are at any point in time. So they're communicating on cell phone, and so they may say, "Oh, they're up here," and then by the time you get up there, they have moved to somewhere else. So we'd have to go another, and it's all of the above. We climb up, down, around, over little creeks in mud and it's all of the above. That's why I'm saying it's nature untouched. And what you have to understand is that about 50 to 60% of the time they had to make a trail. It was a man in front of us with a machete that was making a trail. So again, this is untouched acres, miles, and square kilometers or square miles of area. So yeah, so it's all of the above. There's nothing that is there's no track, there's no trail, there's no nothing. Like I said, it's hard to describe what a jungle is until you're in there. All right. So I don't think relationships necessarily end from conflict all the time. They fade from stagnation. A lot of times when you're just sitting there looking at each other and you don't feel like life is fair, you start to blame the other person for causing you the discomfort or the unhappiness. But when you're moving and when you're experiencing things together and you're working as a team and you're helping each other out and you're getting you're having deep conversations because the kids aren't around, that's, I believe, how relationships develop. And I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest with you, before last year, before I went through this kind of transformation, I believe, and my wife will say the same thing, we were getting stagnant and we had to make a decision. And this is, say, after 38, 39 years. And we've seen couples that have divorced after those many years of marriage. And so again, we must persist until we succeed. So we were going to persist in our marriage. We were going to do whatever we needed to do to make this thing happen. And these experiences, I think, have really propelled our relationship. And that's after we'll be married 40 years this June. And to say that our relationship has expanded and increased, I'm very proud that we've been able to accomplish that in our relationship. And I think that can happen to other people. And it can happen if you talk about what I talk about in my school about getting your hormones right, getting your mind right, and then reconnecting with your spirit. And when you go out in nature like this, you begin to feel that spiritual feeling of being out in nature and seeing how we are all in this planet together to work together, and that everybody is everything is really dependent upon everything else. And that's what you learn when you go over there and you see nature like that. All right. All right. Now, another reason why I decided to do this, because I look at a lot of YouTube stuff. And lately I've been looking at this channel where these guys in their 60s and 70s, and it's some men and women, and they talk about how the regrets that they have are not about anything that they did. They regret all the things that they didn't do when they were younger or when their spouse was alive. And they start to look back and they start to see what was important and what wasn't important. And they see that it wasn't even these big trips like this. It was the small things. I could tell you a lot of little things that happened on this trip that we'll talk about. How the warthogs got underneath our tent and the lion was chasing them. It was a hippopotamus blocking our way to our tent. Or it's when I say a tent, it's really a nice glamorous thing, and I mean it's really nice. But a warthog got in there. We were on our way to our cabin or lodge, and there was a hippopotamus there, and you always have to be escorted at night. So we had to wait until the hippopotamus moves, because there are over 400 deaths from hippopotami every year in Africa. They're very aggressive, and you have to be careful of them. And so I can tell you all kinds of things that happen. And those are all these experiences that we will have together. And I won't have to say, I wish we had gone there. I wish we had done that. So that's kind of our major goal, is that we don't want to have a lot of regrets about things that we didn't do. All right. So see how much time we got. All right. So those guys on those YouTube said we kept saying we do it later. And that's what we're talking about. Later is the biggest lie you're ever going to be told. I'll tell you another thing that really shook me up. And this happened like 15 years ago. A couple that met in college when I was at Vanderbilt, they were married, and we remained friends, and we would talk or whatever from time to time. And 14 years ago, he was 50 years old, and he was out on his run, and he fell dead. And the spouse, the girl who I knew from college, she just talked about how they had planned all of these things in retirement, and she can't believe that he passed away. Ever since that time, I've kept that in the back of my mind, is that at any time this life can be over, and you can't continue to put things off. And I thought that when I was in my 50s, and when you get in your 60s and your 70s, you really start to think that. So I don't want you guys to and I don't care if you're 30 and you want to go to Disney World, go. Okay. And I don't care if Disney World is, a 2-hour drive and you always said you're going to do it. Do that. It doesn't have to be what we're talking about, but just do some of the things. And it can be just saying, I was going to splurge and go to a restaurant that I never thought I'd go to, or, just something as simple as that, something unknown. It really expands your horizons and makes you live life more fully, I believe. All right. So later is not a plan. Later is a fantasy. And time doesn't negotiate. Time moves forward, whether you're ready to move with it or not. So again, as you begin to age, you begin to notice that more and more. Time keeps moving. It is 2026. I remember when everybody was excited about the calendar turning to 2000. There was this 2K. They thought all the computers were going to break down. And I remember saying, oh, wow, I can't believe it's 2000. Now, this is 26 years later. And I'm telling you, time moves faster and faster. And so that's why I'm encouraging you to, in this ageless blueprint, is that do not let age slow you down from experiencing life. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you. So I'm not chasing trips. I'm just refusing to postpone life. And like I said, there's places in the U.S. that we need to go. I haven't been to, Yellowstone National Park. So, maybe we'll start doing some of those trips that don't cause the jet lag that we have right now. I can take a 2 hour time difference, but a 7, 8 hour time difference, man, it really messes up your circadian rhythm. And, I talk about cortisol and how you have this natural rhythm. That's what has gotten all discombobulated in me because we spent 2 weeks over there. So my cortisol curve changed. And now I'm trying to change it back to Eastern Standard Time. So you don't have to chase long trips. You just don't want to postpone life. And whatever that means to you, whatever you've been postponing that you should do, or you have a strong desire to do, or you wanted to do it. Because the one who was talking about, one of the guys was saying, hey, one of the things I kept putting off is that my wife wanted to take dance lessons. And he regretted that he never did the dance lessons with his wife. So that's something that's unknown. And that's something that my wife and I did 15 years ago when my kids had gone to college. We were like, what are we going to do now? We started taking dancing lessons. We learned the salsa and the waltz and the Viennese waltz. We did that for like 6 or 7 years because it was an experience that we could share together. I decided that I'd rather do that than golf because golfing took me away from my wife, and I wanted to share experiences with her. Okay, especially after our kids left, we needed to reintroduce ourselves to each other. And I think that's a lot. I talk about how a lot of relationships break up during menopause, and I think these are the things you can do to help prevent that. Is keep things going, keep things moving. All right. So ageless living isn't about doing everything. It's about refusing to die with your life still inside of you. And that's it. I keep saying, I want to live until I die. All right. I don't want to live and then slowly begin dying over the, 5, 10 years. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that's my intention and that's my desire. And if I die tomorrow, I will say, well, at least I lived up until the day I died. And that's a kind of a pact that my wife and I said, is that whenever one of us passes away, we want to give each other a high five and say, wow, didn't we have a good time together? And so that's been our goal since we got married 40 years ago. And we're still working on it. And like I said, it may not be with your wife, it may be with your child or whatever your significant other is. I really do think life is better when you share it with someone who you have a deep connection with. All right, so let me see what happens over. So what are you still saying you'll do later, and what would be lost if it never happens? So just think about, okay, what are you waiting on? And if it doesn't happen, what would be lost? What kind of experience would you not have taken a part in? Could you have learned? What could you have felt? What could you have learned and passed on to your kids, or be able to talk about it at the next cocktail party? Okay, what would be lost if it never happens? Let's go. So all I'm encouraging you to do is whatever you were planning on doing, start planning on doing it now, and don't plan on doing it at some later date because you just don't know. You just don't know. And it's not about trying to do it before you die. It's just about living day by day. It's when you get into this, they talk about being present, and even when you take a step, be present. Well, I'll tell you, when you walk up that mountain, you better be careful of every step because you're on the edge of that mountain. Things are slippery. You have to pay attention to every step. So that's what you talk about, being present and not being distracted. You get distracted going up that mountain, you can go down that mountain a lot quicker than you can go up it when you are going down on a free fall. So, but anyway, so that's what we have today. We got a few more minutes. I don't have any. I'm not trying to get you to necessarily go to the school, but hey, I will tell you that you can go to www.school. If you can scroll that, I actually have redone that. I have a free Hormone Preview Chat GPT. Please go to www.school.com/ageless, and you can join it for free. There's information there that's free. There's also some other courses that I'm developing. So Ageless Blueprint is a year old. I believe the first year was the birth of it. This year is we're going to develop it into something that can really transform your life. And I'm working very hard to have that completely built out before the middle of the month. Those are some of the things that I was doing while I was over there in Rwanda. I was constantly thinking about how can I make the podcast better? How can I make the school better? How can I teach more people about hormones? How can I try and help people live their life to the fullest and understand that whatever reality that they envision, they can start to try and create that. And it's all about intention and what do you focus on. So, hey, we have any other questions? Or Rebel, do you have any questions? So next week we're going to get back and talk about hormones. I'm still working on developing hormone coaches because I'll tell you, I know I'm getting a little bit off subject, but I've started looking at these Facebook groups that talk about bioidentical hormones and hormone replacement. And here's what I see in those groups. It's a bunch of women asking other women, what are they doing and has it worked or not? And that is really the blind leading the blind. And that's why I'm trying to get hormone coaches. I'm trying to teach them the basics of what I talk about with saliva testing and all of that, because there's got to be some people on these Facebook groups that have some actual knowledge that's not an anecdote. Because it's, I just feel bad. And I actually tried to join the groups and I put some information up. And if you put information up that doesn't coincide with what they're talking about, they ban you. So I need some women and coaches to kind of infiltrate these groups and not try to prove anything wrong, but try and bring some logical information that women can use and not have to try and use anecdotes to determine their dosage.
So in other words, they need to stop spinning the old wives' tales and stop bringing this. An old wives' tale becomes real when that's the only thing that people have in their mind. But if they open their mind to a little bit of just because mama's grandma and someone said, well, that's because that's all they knew. Okay.
Right.
The problem with humans is we only know what we know.
Yeah. And so And so I look at that and I'm like, and they say, I'm on this amount of testosterone and this did this. What happened with you? And they go back, it's 20, 30, 40 comments, and they're all saying different things. And that's what I'm trying to do that's this hormone clarity. That's a big part of Ageless Blueprint. That's why I want you to go there. I actually created a chat GPT that's free, Hormone Clarity Preview, where you can download it and you can ask it questions. You can say, why is blood testing better? Why does this? So you can understand it and you can start demanding it. And you can get on these Facebook groups and say, look, hey, I have a link to this information source. It may help you out. So that's what I'm trying to do in school. So www.skool.com/ageless. And that's what I'm going to be talking about on TikTok or whatever, is trying to get that information out so that these women can have some credible information that they can use and not just go back and forth on a Facebook page. I feel sorry that women have had to succumb to this because they haven't had any clear direction from any type of authorities. So yeah, that's it. So Rebel, any more comments before we shut it down today?
Yes, real quick. They wanted to know, did they limit what you brought on this adventure so you didn't contaminate nature?
Yeah, oh, you definitely can't bring any plastic or anything. The water bottles have to be these reusable water bottles. They pack you a lunch, and then they tell you bring some rain gear because sometimes it'll rain. So we had a little backpack, but what you can do for $10, you can hire a porter, and the porter will help get you up the mountain. Will kind of help you if it's a steep thing, or kind of show you how to get the path. And it also carries your small backpack and your water. So you were limited, but you definitely you don't throw anything down in the jungle, plus especially any plastic. They actually will search you and make sure you don't have any plastic, so you don't drop it in the jungle anywhere, because it could really damage the animals if they start to swallow it. So anyway, So any other questions? I think we got like 10 seconds left. So, hey, again, Happy New Year. I'm looking forward to a great 2026. Tell somebody else about the podcast, and do not delay. Live life starting today. Do it right now. All right. See you guys next week.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discover the ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and TaylorMDFormulations.com for more information.